up, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today is our Eagles versus Vikings preview show, breaking down top matchups, predictions, all the above. Joining me, he is David at PHL Eagles News. Make sure you go check out PhillyCoverCorner.com and all the amazing stuff he writes over there. What's good, David?
Not so much, man. I'm happy that the weather's finally cooling off. I was sick of the heat, and I'm happy that we're discussing a win. I'm happy that we have a game on Thursday also, because even though we won, it almost felt like a loss. So I'm glad we're moving on from that. So I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I always hate the short weeks, but you are 1,000% correct, man. I'm hoping for a different narrative. Come Friday, we could just move on, like you said. Also joining us, he is the Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA from Philly Sports Alliance. What's going on, Ryan?
Not much, man. It was, a great win. Okay, let's just say a win. And, hey, listen, we got a short week, quick memory, moving on to the Vikings. But we'll discuss a little bit of it tonight, and hopefully they can fix a few of the mistakes, if you will, for Thursday night.
Yeah, let's jump right in, just revisit week one, our top takeaways before we kind of head into week two. For me, it was the offense, and it was, Brian Johnson and the play calling. 0 touchdowns on the Eagles' last 9 drives. Hurts did not complete a pass longer than 9 yards until the third quarter. They had 8 first downs on the first 2 drives, then 9 total on their next 10. 4 punts in the second quarter and 4 straight 3-and-outs, which happened only one time in 2022. You look at that offense in the second quarter, man, 19 yards of total offense. I thought Jalen Hurts was out of sync, rarely took deep shots. There was only one Eagles pass play that went for 15 or more yards. And then, of course, the fumble. I thought there were a lot of question marks on Sunday, the over-reliance on Kenny Gainwell, the absence of DeAndre Swift, the absence of Dallas Goedert, the Eagles' refusal to utilize the middle of the football field. It was all a big head scratcher, but that was my take. And I'll throw it to you, David. What was your biggest take?
I agree with everything you said about the 4 3-and-outs. I mean, they only had 17 first downs the entire game, and 8 of them were on the first 2 drives, and then 9 the rest of the day. A lot of this, I think the first couple of games of the season now are almost like the preseason, except the difference is they count. And Sirianni has said that he's probably going to have to reevaluate the way he does this, the way he's utilizing players in the preseason, because it's back-to-back seasons with this much rust. And he knows it has to be corrected. He acknowledged it. So I'm pretty sure going forward, you're probably going to see a lot more activity with these guys and, in the camps. And it probably should be, because that is, I totally agree with them. It is back-to-back years with that rust. So my biggest takeaway was that. And then, of course, the underutilization of DeAndre Swift. I mean, I knew that Gainwell was going to be running back 1. They showed their hand with that all season. But benching Penny was a little surprising. But to that point, I would also say, last season, they only kept 3 running backs on the active roster during the year. So only having 3 on this game wasn't that surprising. It was surprising that it was Penny, because I think we've discussed, a couple episodes back about mainly Boston Scott's main benefit to the team is as a kick returner. And if that's all you're going to do, when you can raise your hand and get to the 25, when you have Quez returning them as well, it's just not as much as a benefit as it used to be, which is one of the reasons I was a proponent to keep Sermon over him anyway, because he's younger, he's cheaper, and down the road, I think he'd be a bigger asset. But those are my biggest takeaways.
Well said. Little G Griffith says, great team, go Birds. Absolutely. Daniel, what's going on, man? Let us know your comments on week one, and as we quickly get into week two. Ryan, what was your biggest takeaway?
Yeah, it was. It just, again, it almost seemed like no one told them that this was the regular season. It seemed very vanilla. It seemed very plain. It seemed very evident that Brian Johnson was calling his first NFL game as coordinator. He was playing it safe. There were a lot of confusing play calls. The fact that they didn't target Dallas Goedert, one of your bigger weapons. especially against the Patriots, I would have thought they would have been utilizing him quite a bit. He didn't get his first target until the fourth quarter, and it was nowhere near catchable. So, the fact of the matter is he got a goose egg. Swift essentially got a goose egg. He got 3 touches. It just seemed a little confusing. The play calling, the utilization of our players. And again, I think we going into this season, I think we all thought, offense, no big deal. We're good, right? Like the coordinator for the offense has been with the team, like should be a seamless thing. We have the weapons. It's the defense. We switched over so many people. Like, that was the concern. And the defense showed up. I thought they played great. I thought the defensive line got so much pressure. They just weren't getting home. So, I think to the untrained eye, it didn't seem like they played well, but I thought they had a great game. So, yeah, the offense needs to, get on track come Thursday.
Which is the exact opposite, like, storylines heading into week 1. You know what I mean? Like, all the questions were on the defensive side of the football. Not to say there aren't still a lot of questions heading into week 2. But, my goodness, total different result. Patrick says, what's up? Are you guys afraid of Bill Belichick could have figured out how to beat the Eagles defense by attacking the middle? We're going to get into that. For sure. I'll save my response for that because I have a take. But does anybody have any other takeaways before we jump into Eagles versus Vikings?
Yeah, I think Bill O'Brien, we talked about last week too, he made the offense so much simpler for Mac Jones, and that it was very surprising the way he picked apart. But he threw for over 300 yards, which he's only did twice the entire year last year. They exploited some weaknesses in the secondary. I thought they had a great game plan, and if they didn't get behind, ugly the other way around. So, I don't know. I still have some concerns with the defense. I know a lot of other people are happy with it, but I still a little concerned about it.
Okay, that was the first.
That was so weird and random.
It flipped us around.
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck just happened.
You somehow got kicked out and got right back in.
I've never seen that.
But because it did that, it kicked you to the bottom for some reason.
I liked it. I thought it was cool. We should do it again. Try it again.
You never know who's talking from where.
Whoever ends up in the left has to host. I love it. You keep it going.
Yep. David just got blipped. All right. Yeah. All right. So let's just roll on to Eagles versus Vikings. Werf says defense played okay, but way too many wide open receivers all across the field. There were at least a couple of misses. Bad reads from Jalen Hurts, no question about it. Joe says Eagles can't afford to have Jake Elliott score more points than Jalen Hurts. Yeah, you're not wrong about that.
But yeah.
Yep. Are you guys worried about Nakobe Dean possibly just being a little injury prone at this point?
Absolutely. Of course we're worried. I mean,
that has to be a worry. I mean, literally he was banged up off and on all training camp, and first game he gets hurt and put on IR for a month. So, listen, I'm not ready to kind of label him just yet, but man, I hope this was just a fluke thing and we don't ever have to hear about this and talk about it ever again.
That's why he fell in the draft. Like there's definitely a pattern forming. There's definitely a concern.
And before we move on, can I mention Fletcher Cox?
Yeah.
He was really good. And besides just his play, especially in the fourth quarter, those back-to-back plays where he really stepped up, he also showed a lot of leadership when Job laid out one of the players, I don't remember who it was, on New England on the sideline, and you could tell he was about to get up and flex on the guy. He was about to bark at him. And Cox runs over there and stops it and saves a really crucial penalty. And he did that a few years ago with Jalen Mills as well. Mills was doing something. He just grabbed him and yanked him off the field. But I think you're starting to see his leadership, and I think that's going to carry over to the other guys because a lot of people question them keeping him on this team this year. But I think you've already seen the value that he's bringing to this squad.
Mm-hmm. I like that. We can't get into the Vikings until we mention Jalen Carter. Who was absolutely sensational. PFF wise, whether you believe that or not, he was the highest graded rookie from week 1 with a 92.1 grade, week 1 grade. I think we had 7 pressures. There was a section of the game at least early on, I think, where it felt like he was getting pressure pretty much every snap. He was getting to the quarterback and just causing disruption, causing havoc in the backfield. That was awesome. And again, we're going to be talking about Jalen Carter very soon against this interior offensive line of the Vikings. That's a little iffy. But Jalen Carter, anybody have any 2 cents on Jalen Carter's debut?
Yeah, I mean, it was spectacular. It was everything we wanted it to be. He got himself his first NFL sack. His first play he was already by his guy in 0.2 seconds. I mean, he blew the guy up. I mean, this guy was getting pressure left and right. He was involved in so many plays, and you combine that with the great game I thought Jordan Davis had. He had himself a half a sack. He had the forced fumble. You're looking at the future of this interior defensive line, man, it looks absolutely bright. It looks like we're going to be the most dominant interior defensive line, with those two guys for the next 10 years. So I know it's one game, and we've used that phrase quite a bit, but man, what a great start. I mean, it has to give you that warm and fuzzy feeling inside all Eagles fans across the Delaware Valley.
Yeah, no question. All right, let's jump into top matchups to watch. Eagles versus Vikings. Let's go. All right, it is time to go deep into enemy territory, talking biggest matchups to watch, Eagles versus Vikings. Who wants to go first? Going once, going twice. Ryan is up. It's all you, man.
Listen, I don't mind. I don't mind going here. Yeah, listen, I think the matchup that and we talked about this certainly before the show, but the matchup I really am curious about is the Eagles wide receivers versus those Vikings defensive backs. And obviously Jalen Hurts didn't have the greatest of games week one, and I think a lot of that was certainly a little rust, mostly of the play calling. But again, I want to see them open it up. I want to see. I thought Brown had a great game, and if you give him that catch, on that sideline where, again, it was, if he had over, 100, he would have had over 100 yards. But, I thought him and Devontae did pretty good given what they were given. And, again, I just think the play calling was a little bit vanilla. They didn't really take too many shots down the field, but I'd like to see that change, for Thursday. Again, it's the home opener. You got to let things go. And what a perfect way to kind of open it up against, a very talented defensive backfield for the Vikings, but also very young. So I think there certainly could be some, advantages to be taken on these young defensive, backs here for the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, you do have Harrison Smith there, who certainly is, the vet, but, Andrew Booth and, Byron Murphy, Evans, you really do have, Lewis Seen, who I loved coming out of the draft last year. Again, a lot of youth, but, again, Harrison Smith certainly leads that defensive backfield, but he's getting up there. So let's see them airing out. Let's see them throw the ball down the field. Let's get into it. Let's get some excitement. And, again, I think if we can expose their defensive backfield, we'll control the game. So,
Yeah, what I want to see though, just to play like a little devil's advocate, like I want to see the run set up the pass. I think the Vikings really struggled with that week one. Like the Vikings were a pass. Then they would like play action or run, and they couldn't get anything from it. That's just my thing.
I think anytime, you talk about, airing the ball down the field, I think, again, it certainly coincides with setting that up with the run. And, again, as you said, they struggled mightily against Tampa Bay, and just really did not have a good game. So I'm actually kind of upset about that. I was kind of hoping they would roll over Tampa and kind of come in maybe a little light, but they're going to be hungry to not go 0-2. So
Yeah.
it's definitely going to be a lot harder on Thursday than I think initially anticipated, for sure.
Yeah, like we look at, we've been criticizing Brian Johnson here, but like head coach Kevin O'Connell had some of the same question marks following week one. Both teams, Eagles and Vikings, were sloppy in week one. The Vikings lost the turnover battle 3-0 against the Bucs. They had a fumble outside of their own red zone. They had another fumble outside of the 30-yard line and an interception toss on the 13-yard line. They had 6 penalties, many of them unforced. So just like the Eagles, man, it was sloppy. David, what's your top matchup to watch?
I went with the same matchup Ryan did, just in reverse. I went with the Vikings receivers versus the Eagles defensive backs. I went back and watched last year's game earlier today. Cousins threw for 220 yards, and he also had 3 picks. And 2 of those were to big play Slay, who was just incredible in that game. He had 2. He probably should have had 3. He actually dropped the easiest one on the night. He shut Jefferson down when he was on his side. Jefferson ended the night with only 6 receptions for 48 yards. And on the other side, Adam Thielen had 4 catches for 52 yards. And Irv Smith was the only guy with the lone receiving touchdown for the Vikings in that game. Slay was in coverage on 18 snaps, targeted 6 times. Again, he came down with the 2 picks. He only allowed 1 catch for 7 yards, and he ended the night with a 0.00 passer rating. Just an incredibly dominant performance. And he's going to have his hands full trying to do that again. And especially with Bradbury out, likely it seems like he's going to be out, and Job will have to be in. I guess I'll start with the good news. The scheme does not have to change if they go with Job there. He trained for the outside spot all summer. He's even received shout outs from Jalen Hurts, who singled him out and, expressed his confidence that he's had with him playing against him in the camp all year. So if Slay's job is to follow Jefferson around, Job is still going to have his hands full with the 23rd overall pick, Jordan Addison, who was also really good in his debut. He had 4 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown. So they're definitely going to – and Jefferson had a great game too. He had a monster game, 9 catches for 150 yards. He just didn't find the end zone. But Jefferson was embarrassed last year on national TV during that Monday night game. So he will have a lot of incentive to come out and play a lot better and try to return that favor. So it will be a very interesting matchup for sure. And also in regard to the D-backs, with Reed Blankenship possibly not playing this game, it was already ugly with Reed and Justin Evans. And I don't know when the time's right to give Sydney a shot here, but it's close. It's close to that time.
Love it, man. Love it, love it, love it. Excellent stuff. No, that's not it. That's not it. There it is. My top matchup to watch here, Eagles versus Vikings, is the Vikings O-line versus the Eagles pass rush. Let's take a look at the mini O-line. They didn't really do anything this offseason. They didn't draft or sign a starting caliber interior offensive lineman in free agency. Last year, the Vikings O-line was really bad. According to Pro Football Reference, the Vikings allowed the most quarterback hits on the season with 88 and allowed pressure on 23.3% of dropbacks. Against the Cardinals, I thought Kirk Cousins was under pressure pretty consistently, and the majority of that came from right up the gut. The Tampa Bay defense might have only had 2 sacks for a loss of 17 yards, but they also had 9 quarterback hits and 6 tackles for loss. And to make matters worse, Garrett Bradbury left the game due to a back injury. Christian Darisaul's day-to-day. I got to look at the injury report. But what does that all mean? I think the Eagles definitely have a really good advantage with, Jalen Carter and some of the stunts that I'm expecting to see from Sean Desai. I expect the Eagles to try and keep the Eagles pass rush off balance by throwing a lot of screens. I expect that to go down because we saw it happen in week 1. The Eagles allowed 11 receptions to the Patriots running backs last week. And I kind of expect more of the same here week 2. So that is my biggest matchup of the week. I want to see Hassan Reddick. I want to see Josh Sweat. I want to see all these guys get home week 2, and let's get back to brass tacks. And that's the bread and butter of the Philadelphia Eagles, dominating in the trenches. That's my top matchup.
Yeah, no, I mean, if Bradbury can't go, man, the Vikings O line is in real trouble. Is in real trouble. I mean, he's certainly, him and Darryl are certainly the stars on that line. Quentin, too much. Him and Darryl are certainly the stars on that line, and they really don't have much else outside of those two guys. So if they certainly are not able to play, my gosh, I mean, it's Eagles by a million. I mean, sacks upon sacks. I mean, they have to get home this time. I mean, Kirk Cousins doesn't get the ball out as quickly, as Mac Jones, and especially that was designed for that game. We are playing Kirk in prime time. We all know what that means. But yeah, like David said, I'm a little worried that Justin Jefferson might be a little extra motivated. After, he was embarrassed. You said it perfectly. He was embarrassed. Slay shut him down and intercepted the ball twice. He had his number. So I'm a little scared of what Justin Jefferson has the ability to do to us.
And Kirk Cousins is going to drop back at least 40, 50 times on Thursday night. That's what they do. So the ball is going to be flying. Brian says overly confident with that game you put up. Versus, we are not overly confident at all.
I don't think anybody's overly confident. That's for sure, Brian. I mean, we were very critical.
Yeah, nobody's confident on this side.
Man, you should go back to the post game. My God, we were dying.
Yeah, that's not us, man. All right. Anybody else have any other matchups to watch here?
No, just the trenches, like you said, because that eliminates everything that they're going to have with the problems in the backfield. If they can get to Kirk quick, he doesn't have time to run the receivers don't have time to run the routes. He doesn't have time to get the ball out, because if your starting safeties are Evans and or Edmonds and Evans, and your corners are Job and Slay and Maddox, I mean, there's 2 or 3 spots on that backfield that they're going to be able to pick on all night long. So they're definitely going to have to. This is a game that's going to have to be won by the defensive line. They've invested in it with first round picks, with money, and it's gonna have to pay dividends Thursday night in order for them to get a W.
Yeah, real quick to kind of add on what you just said. I don't want to see Justin Evans on my football field. I'm sorry. I just the thought of him actually playing significant moments is scary. Is absolutely scary. Yes, when you said, I wonder when the time is for Sidney Brown, guess what? When the time is? Right freaking now. Unleash that man upon the world. Let him go flying around. I absolutely want to see it. And him and Edmonds, fine. If that's unfortunately the way it has to be. But let's all pray for Reed Blankenship's good health and good fortune to get back on that field, because we are already thin at linebacker and we're losing linebackers. We're already thin at safety and we're losing safeties. We cannot sustain this for much more. So Howie either needs to get on the phone right now, bring in Budda Baker, go get Patrick Queen, whatever you got to do, Howie, make some calls, fleece some GMs, or we're going to be in trouble real quick if this is the way we got to go about our football season.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier about the short week I was happy about, just to get the bad taste out of our mouth about the loss. But the short week is playing a role in their inability to clean up the mistakes that they've made, because they don't have much time to clean it up. And also to get people healthy, because a game that could have been on Sunday, some of these guys that are a little banged up may have been able to play. But it's going to be really hard for Bradbury in concussion protocol, Reed with ribs, because it looked like he had just got the wind knocked out of him, but that's clearly not the case. So yeah, they got their hands full for Thursday night as far as the injuries.
Yeah, I mean the Bradbury concussion thing is one of those where damn, if only we were playing on Sunday, because chances are he probably could have passed concussion protocol by then. No chance in hell. In fact, I don't even think it's physically possible to pass concussion protocol within 4 days. Given the rigorous NFL standards now at this point. So also, what the hell is up with that comment?
I don't know. You know why I went with the pass rush? Because if I were to tell you, again, this is week one overreaction. This is what we do. But if I were to tell you that Sean Desai and his attacking defense would have a less blitz percentage than Jonathan Gannon last year, what would you say? Like that, because that's what it was. The Eagles only blitzed 20% of the time in week one. They averaged 22%, which was like bottom third tier in the NFL last year. Isn't that wild?
Wow.
Just think about that. All right.
It really didn't seem that way, though, didn't it? It really seemed like they were bringing a lot of pressure and a lot of extra guys. But yeah, I guess they really were just going with the 4. And I mean, listen, they were successful. They were getting the pressure. They were just missing it, and they were getting the ball out so quick.
Yeah, we didn't see a lot of nose tackles. Like it was mostly a 4-man pressure, at least from my first glimpse. So we'll see if that changes week 2. It probably won't. I doubt it will in such a short rest week. But let's jump into predictions and score predictions. So there it is. All right, score predictions, player of the game predictions. 2 teams kind of somewhat looking to bounce back, at least for the Eagles offense and the Eagles pass rush. And then Kirk Cousins and the Vikings trying to move on from a horrible loss against the Arizona Cardinals. Let's revisit kind of our predictions from last week. I'll throw it on the screen here. And we will have to kind of pick a winner. So, Ryan, you picked Devontae Smith, who had 7 receptions for 47 yards and a touchdown. Sorry, David, that did not go well for you. What's up, Shane?
What's up?
He didn't even play.
Oh, we're talking about my Hassan Reddick Game of the Week performance.
Yep. Oh, he's nope.
I might bow out till we're on to another topic.
We're just wrapping it up here. Yeah, we're picking who was the player of the game, and then I had Jalen Hurts, who did not have a good game. I mean, DC kind of game.
Right.
So I think Devontae. Anybody?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to, just given the fact that while Jalen Hurts certainly, again, it wasn't the worst performance in the world, just didn't really live up to his standards. And obviously Swift and Reddick, you can just throw those guys out. So terrible picks by you guys. No.
I can own that.
All right, then who would be number 2? I guess me?
Yep.
All right.
Even Reddick was better than Swift.
All right. And then we'll go David 1. So with that being said, let's give David first shot at player of the game. Is that cool, guys?
Yeah.
All right, David, you are up. Who is your player of the game and score prediction against the Vikings?
Well, it's like winning the lottery to go first on this because you got to take Jalen Hurts. I mean, he's going to be motivated as well. We talked about Justin Jefferson, but Hurts was embarrassed as well from his performance 2 days ago. He went to the locker room after the game, individually thanked every single defensive player in the locker room for picking him up. And, that's what you do in a relationship. When somebody's down, the other person picks you up. So that's what's going to happen this Thursday night as well. So Jalen Hurts will bounce back in a big way. I have no concerns about his little blip in the road there. I think that the game will be a pretty big score for them. I'll go 33-22. And I don't think the Vikings probably score that last touchdown to the fourth quarter. I don't think this will be as close as a game as the one that we just saw. But if I could put one little asterisk in, if I did not win this thing to go first, I was going with Josh Jobe. I think that they're going to pick on him. I think that he's going to be prepared for it. He practices against Smitty in practice every single week. I know games are different than practices, but he's impressed everyone all summer. And Thursday night's his chance to show it, and I think he's ready for that task.
All right, 33-22. And by the way, let me share my screen one more time. I just want to throw this out there that David crushed the score prediction from week one. He had 26-19 birds, and of course the score was 25-20. Well done, sir.
Almost up for Swift pick, almost.
All right, Shane, what's your player of the game and score prediction?
Oh man, I'm coming in hot here. I haven't even had time to think about it. Give me player of the game, Dallas Goedert. Last year, week one, Devonta Smith didn't have a catch. He had 250 yards over the next two games combined, while the Eagles made a concerted effort to get him the ball. I put out an all-22 film piece today on the passing offense. I haven't cut it up for Twitter. It'll come out there tomorrow, so a lot of you might not have seen it yet. But I'm telling you, Dallas Goedert was open all game long, and Hurts just missed him and missed him and missed him. Hurts isn't going to miss him against the Vikings. So give me Goddard for player of the game. Score prediction. And if the Vikings hadn't just lost to the Buccaneers, I would be really concerned because you're down James Bradbury. You don't have a linebacker that deserves an NFL job on your roster. And you can't just say put Slay on Justin Jefferson because, guys, Jordan Addison looked legit on Sunday. So that's concerning, but they also just lost to the Bucs. So give me the Eagles. Home opener. I think the offense is going to play a lot better. Give me 28-17 Eagles.
All right. So both going Eagles here. There you go. I think I am up, as Quinn says, defensive line score.
That is something guys would do.
Yeah, no, pick out on a limb there, bud.
I think Jalen Hurts is a really good selection. So I'm going to go with the next guy up who had a ton of targets, and that's A.J. Brown. I want to see the Eagles attack the Vikings downfield. Home opener, Thursday night. I want to see Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown with at least a couple touchdowns, nice 40-plus yard bombs. Give me A.J. Brown. And my score prediction, I'll say I think it's going to be close. I do. I'm going to go 32-30. Eagles get the W here. I don't think it's going to be an easy win by any means. So that leaves Ryan. You are up.
All right. Well, everybody took all the good player of the games, but you know what? I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna ride the hot hand of Devonta Smith. We're gonna keep riding Devonta until I lose this. So, and hell, it may be next week, but still, if he wins it again, I'm picking him again. So, let's go Devonta. I think this is the year Devonta really does get himself in the conversation of top wide receivers in the league. As far as the score, I think it's going to be slaughterhouse. Honestly, the fans, are going to be foaming at the mouth. And let me tell you, I'll be one of them there. And I think it's 34-17.
Woo.
I think they crushed the Vikings. They have owned the Vikings number, and it only continues, especially in Philly. Primetime Kirko. I don't think the NFL scripted anything other than him playing terrible. So let's go Birds, 34-17.
All right. There it is. I guess before we close up shop here, Shane, what was your biggest takeaway from week one?
Oh, man. I'm going to take that answer, and I'm going to give two. One on offense, one on defense. So on defense, it's just there were so many miscommunications in the back end of the defense. The Patriots figured out that the Eagles had no clue what they were doing defending bunch, and they just kept calling plays out of bunch. I clipped some of that up and put it on Twitter today, but Darius Slay and Avonte Maddox continually were ending up on the same guy out of bunches with somebody that no one was on. So that was the thing on defense that's got to get cleaned up. I'm confident that can get cleaned up. Justin Evans was an abomination, and I'm pretty sure that's not getting better. Get him off the field. The dude hasn't played football in like 3 years. So like he's essentially a 28-year-old rookie. How about you put the 21-year-old rookie that you drafted at the top of the third round in instead? So that's my defense. On the offense, like I fully expect Hurts to be better. I said on Twitter that you couldn't overstate how bad Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni were. And I stand by that with some of the situational game calling. But watching the All-22, Jalen Hurts was the biggest issue with the Eagles passing game on Sunday. He was awful. And I'm not saying that to bash Hurts. I'm very confident that he knows that he was the biggest problem with the passing game. And I'm very confident that will not be the case on Thursday night. So that's the good thing about Hurts. You don't see things snowball. So I expect him to bounce back. But people that were really on Brian Johnson, I think you need to put a lot of that blame at Hurts' feet instead.
All right. There it is. That wraps it up. Guys, let's throw it around the horn. Plugs, final thoughts against the Vikings. Lead us off, David.
My final thoughts is what Shane just touched on. It was Brian Johnson. He took all of that heat for the past 2 days, and when all 22 comes out and you see Dallas Goedert, amongst others, open the whole time, it became very apparent that the play calling wasn't the biggest issue during that game. And the second thing I thought was a little curious, flipping it to the defensive side, is Nolan Smith with 7 snaps during the game. And that was a little surprising for me. I don't know what the reasoning behind it is. I don't believe it'd be injury or why have him out there at all. So I am a little curious as to why that is. But I'm just looking forward to the Vikings game. Like I said, flush the one from the Patriots, move on. I'm happy that it's a short week, but also in some ways wish that they had had a little bit more time to clean up a lot of these mistakes, because they will not be able to correct all that within 3 days. But I still think they have enough to get by the Vikings anyway.
All right, where can we find you, man?
PHL Eagle News at X and PhillyCoverCorner.com online.
All right. You're up, Ryan.
Yeah, listen, it was an ugly game, and as David said, it's one of those where you just kind of flush it and forget it. And yeah, it's unfortunate that we don't have a lot of days to rest up, to heal up. It's 100% the reason why Bradbury won't be out there on the field. He certainly would have had a shot if we were playing on Sunday. But, as I said earlier in this show, the Eagles were already very thin at linebacker, already thin at safety. And now we're relying upon, players that, let's be honest, should not be on the field. So let's hope that Reed Blankenship can play. Let's hope that Howie maybe has a trick up his sleeve for the next couple of weeks, because we're probably going to need it. But as far as I'm concerned, where you can find me, Philly Sports Alliance, Twitter, Philly Sports PSA. You can find on all the socials, YouTube, Facebook. Probably the best way to get a hold of everything that I do. I'll put on the automatic notifications. That way, when we go live, all of our shows come right to you. We got shows throughout the week, not only from the Philly Sports Alliance, but from Edge of Philly Sports. Usually I do a show every Monday, Football Smack Talk show. Me and Dives do our NFL Draft weekly show where we talk about the college football game and potential Eagles targets in the upcoming NFL Draft. Tuesday, obviously, you can find all of us here. Wednesday, normally Party on Broad, but this Thursday, because of the game, we are doing, obviously, as we do every week, a pre, a half, and a post game. And your boy will be coming live from the tailgate, man on the street action. So stay tuned for that. And also make sure you're following Dives, make sure you're following David, and make sure you're following Shane. And I did the pointing right this time.
It wasn't right on my end.
Well, I look back and I noticed that I am pointing the right way. So
I was going to use my final thoughts to just say that it's 2023, year 2 of doing this show together, and you're still pointing the wrong direction.
Not how it shows up. It's all how it shows up at the end.
Yeah, so for my final thought, I just want to say that sometimes we're early in our takes, but never wrong. My guy, Jordan Davis. I want to talk about my guy, Jordan Davis. People were down on Jordan Davis, a guy who I had number 7 on my big board last year that I was thrilled when the Eagles selected him. Jordan Davis can't rush the passer. He is tied for 20th in the NFL in pass rush win rate. He had a half a sack. He is ranked 8th in run stop win rate, 7th in run stop win rate, forced to fumble early in the game. Jordan Davis just destroying games, destroying the Patriots up the middle. So never early, or never wrong, just early. I'm messing it up now, but Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter were a lot of fun to watch on Sunday. Can't wait to watch them on Thursday night again. You can follow me on Twitter, X, YouTube at Shane Half NFL. I put out an all 22 today. All the clips are up on Twitter, breaking down 6 plays from the Eagles' pass defense, what went wrong. I've got a video. It's up on my YouTube now. It'll be coming out on Twitter tomorrow, going through 13 plays of the passing attack. So check those out. Also, Mark and I will be going live in about 45 minutes or so to do Chalk Talk. We're finally back reviewing real NFL action. I can't wait.
All right. That wraps it up, guys. We'll have a pregame show at 6:30, talking Eagles versus Vikings, all the news, all the headlines, halftime show, postgame, you name it, all that and more. I'm excited for Ryan debuting the Man on the Street show. That's going to be really fun. I can't wait to see that. So tons of stuff coming. Make sure you check out our NFL Draft Weekly show. We did it yesterday, but it premiered today. And then we're doing one right after this, talking more college football. So tons and tons and tons of college football content, as always. He is Shane at Shane Half NFL. That is Ryan Reese. Did I get it?
No,
Philly
you're still
Sports,
pointing at me.
at Philly Sports PSA, and he is David at PHL Eagles News. Stay awesome, everyone.